As we come to the end of the Hannibal series, we also come to the verdant black sheep, the one that people don't seem to like as much, as it gets bad reviews, and most people will tell you, just skip this one. Well, I'm not most people, and I think this movie is worth watching. Does this mean that it's good? Not necessarily. The problem with Hannibal Rising is it's a prequel. It takes place before Red Dragon and tells the story of Hannibal Lecter's childhood and what turned him into a monster. The problem is a lot of people felt they didn't really need the backstory. It was better just knowing him as a monster, and when the book came out, I was surprised to see that a lot of what was in it contradicted the backstory told in Hannibal. The events were more or less the same, but there were enough detail issues to make me wonder if Thomas Harris really wrote the book. It was more like a fanfic than an actual part of the series. The issue with the movie goes back to the book. The book isn't that great. It's definitely the worst of the series. It's poorly researched, poorly plotted, and was rushed out. To think of Thomas Harris rushing anything is a bit insane. The guy writes like one book a decade. Seriously, his first novel, Black Sunday, came out in 1975, then Red Dragon in 1981, The Silence of the Lambs in 1988, Hannibal in 1999, and then Hannibal Rising in 2006. There were no other books. So what happened? Well, when you have the rights to a character, if you don't use it, the rights go away, usually reverting back to the original copyright holder. The rights to the Hannibal Lecter character were about to lapse, so they wanted to do another movie. The problem was they were fresh out of books, so they asked Thomas Harris about doing a prequel movie, and he could write the screenplay. The story goes that he has no interest at all in doing this, but he was pretty much muscled into it because they were going to do the movie whether or not he was involved, and he hated the thought of someone else mucking with the origin, so he pumped out the book really fast. As I said, the book wasn't that great. The plot has Hannibal as a kid growing up in war-torn Europe during World War II. First, some Soviets come by his family's estate on the way to fight the Germans. They're just looking for some water, but when they spot some German planes, they start firing, which causes a big firefight, and Hannibal's parents are caught up in the crossfire. He stays and takes care of his sister Misha, but some German assholes who attempted to join the Nazis but were rejected take up residence there, enslaving the kids and eventually killing and cannibalizing Hannibal's sister to survive. The movie glosses over what happens next. How Hannibal gets away from them or where they go. It just has him living at his old house, which is now a Soviet orphanage. He's bullied, but he stands up to his bullies and eventually runs away to his uncle's house. In the book, he lived with his uncle for a while before he died, but in the movie his uncle is already dead, so he stays with his uncle's widow, a Japanese woman who teaches him some samurai culture and how to fight more effectively. He starts murdering people, at first starting with someone who insults his uncle's widow, and then he starts taking revenge on the Germans who terrorized him and killed his sister, though with each kill he enjoys it more and more. And yeah, he starts eating people. So yeah, it doesn't sound like much. It's a typical revenge film for the most part, but most of the issues with the film can be traced back to the book. You can't blame the movie that much. They didn't have much to work with. The reason that I say watch it anyway is because it's a beautifully shot film. The cinematography takes center stage, and it's absolutely fantastic, and the movie is well acted. Some people found Gaspard Ulliel hard to swallow as Hannibal after years of Anthony Hopkins, but, well, they needed a young actor to play a young Hannibal, and having read the books, I think this kid does a good job capturing the character. Really, this is one of those movies that you can enjoy solely for the visual aspect. It's a treat for the eyes, it just doesn't do much for the brain. If you enjoy the more technical aspects of filmmaking, it's worth watching. But does it live up to the previous 4 films? Not even remotely. That being said, I give it a 6. It's not as bad as people have made it seem to be, and it's well acted and extremely well shot. It just has a lousy story that didn't need to be told.